So you will have noticed there were two types of intervals. We had firstly major intervals and perfect intervals. Perfect intervals being perfect unison, the perfect octave, perfect fifth, and the perfect fourth. And then the other intervals were major. Major second, major third, major sixth, and major seventh. So how do we go about naming the other intervals within that one octave when we are skipping? Here, for example, major second, how do we name that note? Major third, how do we name that note? Perfect fifth, how do we name this note? So taking first a major interval, a major third. What happens if I flatten a major third? I'm going to have what is called a minor third. If we flatten a major interval, it is said to become minor. A major sixth becomes minor sixth. A major second becomes a minor second. On the other side, a perfect interval. If I have a perfect fifth and flatten a perfect fifth, it is said to become diminished. Okay? You flatten a perfect interval, it becomes diminished. It is possible to raise a major interval. We rarely see it because we would tend to name it a different interval. So, for example, a major third, raise that up. We would call that a perfect fourth. But you could, for whatever reason, the music might determine that it's the case, you could call this an augmented third. So you raise a major interval, it becomes augmented. In the same way, if you raise a perfect interval, it will also become augmented. So perfect fourth becomes augmented fourth. Okay, so taking this note in particular, it would depend upon the context and the scale as to whether we would name this note an augmented fourth or a diminished fifth. Taking a little example without getting too technical on it, he says, if I consider it as the fourth note of my scale, I would call that an augmented fourth. 1, 2, 3, augmented fourth, 5. If, however, I was thinking upon it as the fifth note of my scale, 1, flat 2, flat 3, 4, flat 5, I would call that a diminished fifth. Okay, so it depends on which note in the scale it is as to how we name it. So you'll see when we write out these intervals in shorthand, we had, for a major interval, we had major third, for example, it was 1 to 3, root 3. But then if I flatten that, it's like with the notes, I'm going to put a B3 for flattened 3. A flat 3 or a minor third. Okay, and just note, the B in front of the number does not necessarily mean that the note is going to become a flat. For example, A, the third is a C sharp. It's not, when I flatten it, it's not going to become a C flat. The C sharp has been flattened, so a C sharp will become the note C. So we say the note A to C is a minor third or a flat 3. And the same is true when we raise the intervals with the augmented, for example. So A to D was a perfect fourth. A to D sharp was said to be a sharp 4. We've taken that fourth note, that perfect fourth, and raised it, made it sharp. So this note, if we considered it as a diminished fifth, then we're going to think upon the E, the perfect fifth, being flattened to the note E flat, and the shorthand there is flat 5 for diminished fifth. Just as we can raise a major interval, we can also lower a minor interval, and then that is said to become diminished. Now we don't see this very often, but one you might see would be what's called the diminished seventh. So we've gone from a major 7, minor 7, to a diminished 7. And note how that's written as BB7, double flat 7. Now we're going to see those in, for example, diminished 7th arpeggios, which is a series of minor thirds. That's getting too complicated for now. So hopefully that all makes sense for you. If it doesn't, please do put your comments below and I will get back to you as soon as I can. And I'll see you again real soon.